We were working on making lunch and we were ready to sit down and a kid starts screaming, "The butterfly hatched!" Okay, so it hasn't been that long, but it hatched. That was really fast.
No, not yet.
No, it's letting its wings. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it looks like he's about ready to go though.
Yes, looking very healthy.
Yes, yeah. Hey, don't touch. Just
Yes. What they look like now.
We'll just let him go for another couple hours and then let him go.
Pretty.
Can you hold him? Daddy, wouldn't it be cool if
Lillian wants to see Daddy. You see it, Lily?
It's right there, Lillian. Don't touch him.
Actually, it looks like he might be about ready to go. I think his wings are all fully formed.
Does he need
Well, we'll see the walk on you. Okay, I think he's probably about ready to go.
For lunch today, Charity had made a pizza crust on Saturday when we were doing our junior meeting, except we accidentally forgot the oil. So still completely edible, but not what we really wanted to serve to the junior members. So what we did is we just refrigerated it. Well, today's Tuesday. We took the dough out and we made pizza dough. It looks just like our normal dough. So what I ended up doing is I spread this with a garlic and parsley oil, just a really thin coat for flavor. Then I took our cherry tomatoes and thinly sliced them. It has some fresh basil on it, some pizza seasoning, and then a little bit of leftover sausage that we had. And cheese, of course. And Mary, what did it have when it was cooking?
a big giant bubble.
How big was it?
This big?
It was huge, wasn't it? But then it went down when Mommy cut it. But you can still see, it's kind of a little bubbly there. That was really neat.
You have to be careful when zipping it.
Yeah, we don't want to zip up her little legs.
Do you know that monarchs are insects, but they only have 4 legs? There's some pretty butterflies that have 4 legs. You know that?
No. Daddy.
We have to be very gentle with her.
Peter, can I?
Oh!
Oh, look at it. It likes.
No, you be careful.
know
You just
what?
hold out your finger.
It
Let him
likes-
walk on it if he wants to.
It likes Daddy's lime green shirt because it looks like a flower. Just hold it right there. There we go, Grace. Good job. Good job, Grace.
It's pretty.
Can I hold it?
Well,
Oh, there he goes, and he's flying pretty well.
Oh.
Goodbye.
If we find another one, can we get it?
Oh, he landed on the
He's
tree. Let's see if I
I'm
can.
sorry, I could hold it. We could
There
if
he
we
is.
got a ladder, but it would be dangerous.
You know, they have to practice and get a little exercise. They were wrapped up in that cocoon. It's hard work.
this is what we just picked from our garden. We have some beets. We have a whole lot more beets, but those are what we're going to have for dinner tonight. And we got another squash. Squash are producing very abundantly. A couple cucumbers. I think we're going to probably make some pickles right now, or at least Janelle is. And then a whole bunch of, well, a handful of beans. Enough for dinner. I haven't shown you guys a overview of the garden, just partly because, well, first of all, it's a real embarrassment. Second of all, it's been a really challenging year to keep up with the garden. Partly in due, well, first of all, I should qualify this by saying that I actually felt really, really well throughout this pregnancy. Had very little morning sickness. When everything started to go bad was when Art snagged that virus, and then it just spread through all of us over the course of a month and a half, followed by my back pain. And my chiropractor pretty much told me no gardening, no lifting, no bending. She goes, gardening is just, she goes, have somebody else do it for you. And the fact is that gardening is kind of like my baby. And the things had gotten to a point where it was already too overgrown. It's really difficult to instruct children to how to weed and how to take care of it when it's gotten to this point. So we're just, at this point, we're leaving it. It looks awful. We also had an issue with a woodchuck, which took up residency next to our barn. I'll show you that. You'll remember that Art actually piled this with all kinds of wood that needed to get burned that when we cleaned out the barn. Well, the woodchuck thought this would be a great time to make its home here. And so he started coming in under the fence. Really, they're very destructive critters. And now he has a new home that he's been accessing our garden right there. So
That single-handedly destroyed all of my broccoli, all of my cauliflower. He's eaten all of my bush beans, all of my kale, and he is working very quickly on eating the rest of my Swiss chard, part of my eggplant. Let's see, did that cover everything he ate?
So,
He doesn't touch the garlic. We were able to get garlic out of it. But without further ado, I'll give you a look at how bad it looks. And while I'm yapping away, Art is attempting to win the battle with a...
with one weed, this is one.
This is one
actually,
weed.
This is half a weed. The rest of the weed is right here. And that's embarrassing.
It is, but that's life.
And it's growing in the fence, and that's why.
Art, what do we always tell people about our channel?
This is real life.
This is real life, you know, not everything is perfect. We're not even close. All right, so here we have, this was our row of cucumbers. It's produced very, very well. So I'm thrilled with that. That was a great run for the cucumbers. We have more cucumbers. There's another row here, but we had a volunteer gourd plant come in. So we let that have its course, which has run through the garden. I have a zucchini and a summer squash behind these big tall weeds here. Not producing all that much, again, because of the so many weeds. It just doesn't, yay, good job. And then over here we have, in the back, we have butternut squash. Up here are pumpkins, and then along the back is delicata plants. In fact, you'll see right there is a not delicata, a spaghetti squash plant. So those look really good so far. It's hard to tell what we actually have in here because there's so much greenery. I do see a couple butternut squashes, and then we always let the pumpkins run out into the yard. This is a planned thing every year. And I did notice that, let's see if I can find them. Where'd you go? There it is. We have a nice pumpkin right here. We've got 2 more coming, so hopefully we'll get a couple pumpkins this year. And then this is our trellis of pole beans. It got very, very big this year. Other years we haven't had the problem with it falling over, but it keeps falling over. Art just had to prop that when we picked the beans. I lost all of my cauliflower here. Beets are doing very well. In fact, we just harvested some of those. Swiss chard, you can see that most of that has gotten eaten. The broccoli got eaten, and this was a whole row of beans. Those are just nubs now. And then I had kale back here, and that is all gone because of our lovely little critter. I do have a zucchini plant here, but with all the weeds, it's not doing all that great. And then I have another plant over here that's a squash plant, but again, it's not doing all that well. I am going to take you over to our compost pile. If any of you guys are squeamish about snakes, I know my mom doesn't care for snakes, you may want to fast forward a little bit. I'll try to have Art put it in the description down below here so it tells you how far to go. But the boys found some snakes in our compost pile yesterday. I'm going to go look and see if there's any there right now. The compost, Art has done really well keeping up with that this year, and we put a lot of this in the front garden. So, oh, there's a spider hanging right there, or a fly body, one or the other. I think that's a spider. So this compost is pretty well ready to use. This needs to get turned, and then obviously we always have the spewing amount of compost that it just from the amount of gardening and weeds that we have, this always is very, very ripe, ready to get turned. But yesterday we had some snakes. The boys found some snakes right around here. The grass was nice and warm, and they apparently thought it was a great place to hang out. I don't see any right now, so they may have moved on, but the boys were really excited about the snakes. And then our peach tree here, looks like the squirrel ate most of them, which was very unkind of him, but that's how life goes. And our pear tree did not produce this year. This peach tree is pretty slow. It had a huge crop last year, so I'm not expecting much out of that one. And then over here, I have not had time to trim my grapes. I usually like to trim them up so they're level. Again, you can look at my past videos where I've done garden tours, and you can see the difference of maintenance this year versus other years. But when you do look in here, we do have some grapes, so maybe we'll get some grape jelly this year. The other thing that we tried this year is putting in 5 tomato plants up against the chicken coop. This was to hopefully give a fresh area so there was no blight, disease, anything like that. And I thought with the chicken manure running off, it would be really good for the tomatoes. Well, score for mommy because this has done fabulous over here. I have basil here between the plants to improve flavor. They're not ripe yet, but these are gorgeous, gorgeous tomatoes. They were all the same variety. They're kind of like an heirloom big boy type tomato. So these I expect to be close to 10 ounces up to a pound. You can see just how beautiful these are. And I'm letting them actually climb up the chicken coop, so they can just grow however big they want, and they're providing some nice shade for the chickens too. So this has been a win-win situation for us this year. This peach tree hasn't done too shabby. We've had some issues with squirrels. Like this morning we found a squirrel that had picked a beautiful peach and he was running into the trees, and the boys went out and tried to chase him and get him to drop the peach, but well, that wasn't too successful. But
that's what I just picked. We
nice.
got a few bad spots. We cut out the bad spots.
Yeah, we had oatmeal and fresh peaches this morning. It was delicious. This is my grow box tomato, and it is huge. It's like super tall, but it's not produced much of anything. In fact,
There's tomatoes on it.
they're very tiny though. These are the tomatoes that we have. When you compare that to the ones by the chicken coop, and they were planted about the same time, this is actually a really disappointing performance. I was really hoping for a huge, huge amount of tomatoes, but you know, you win some, you lose some. The oregano has gotten huge, and the reason I haven't trimmed this is, let me see if I can find any. I don't know if I can catch them on the camera. There are lots and lots of bugs and bees that are pollinating everything around here. And considering all the issues we have with bees and pollen issues, and I decided to leave this and let this attract the bees into our yard and hopefully have really good tomatoes. Now, one thing that worked really well, it hasn't produced much yet, but it's starting to flower. These are my pepper plants. Look how huge those are. Aren't those amazing, Art?
Yes, they are.
For being patio peppers.
I don't see any peppers out.
They're coming. See the flowers?
Yes.
We got all kinds of flowers.
There's flowers over there.
And then we have our orange and lemon. Now the tomatoes are doing very well.
The tomatoes over
The tomatoes are everywhere. I think we're going to have this is going to be a bumper crop, Art, of tomatoes. And then these are our yellow squash plants that have been doing really, really well. These guys are patty pans, thanks to Aunt Laura. Although, Art, did you notice that something seems to be nibbling on these guys? There's another patty pan right in there, Charity. And then we have our peppers here. We do have some jalapeno peppers, but for some reason, they have this, I don't know, do you think it's a fungus, Art?
I don't know what it is, but
It's something, it's just pretty much stripping the plants. And so these are our bell peppers and our banana peppers, and it's just, they're not a good year. And then,
A squirrel brought his pit with us.
oh, did the squirrel eat a pit over there? It happens, Lydia. These are some more yellow squash plants. Again, this was the year for yellow squash. We have a lot of yellow squash. Another tomato plant. Weeds, weeds, weeds. Don't look. Keep going. And then we have zinnias here. And lastly, we have the Swiss chard, which is a good thing I planted this up here because we wouldn't have any because of our woodchuck. So this has done really well. I've harvested that at least once. These are doing very well. The geraniums are taking a break, but they're just starting to get ready to bud again. Another marigold plant, and then over here has been all of my basil, parsley, more zinnias, and some more Swiss chard. So the garden was not an entire loss this year. We've certainly had some good things about it, but every year Art and I have always noticed there's some things that do really, really well, and there's some things that don't do so well. And this year it's just going to be the peppers and, well, the weeding. Although the weeds did really well. But you know, that's how it goes. We're going to try to do can some more cucumbers and turn them into dill pickles because we all love those. I would consider a successful cucumber year if I can get 7 quarts 2 times, so 14 quarts of dill pickles. That gets us through a good chunk of the winter with our pickles, and that's how it's going. The yellow squash, we're gonna have to turn that into probably some relish. I've given some of it away to friends and neighbors, and whoa, something's wrong with that guy's truck. He's smoking it, like his tires were locked up. Well, that was weird. All right, enough of me blabbering. I gotta get back to work. I just finished filming my pregnancy update video, and if you went and watched that, or when it gets up, if you watch that, you'll hear within that video thunder. Well, it's definitely, we got something coming in, and you guys know that I like a good storm. So the wind just started picking up. John has covered up his marble racetrack. This is not a permanent addition to our yard. We actually need to spread all of this dirt out. This is from the garden, but for the time being, John has that up. And there's Art. He came home because we have to secure the barn. It's been a while since we've had a really good storm. Not sure this is gonna add up to a whole lot, but it certainly has gotten windy, it's gotten dark. So everything's closed up, and there's some more thunder. We'll see what ends up happening. I think he looks like he's gonna put the chickens away too. We always try to make sure everything's secure, so we really don't have any worries. Oh, John, there's some gloves over there. Your gloves. And I have an addiction. That is cherry tomatoes. I love cherry tomatoes. My kids love cherry tomatoes. I don't grow them often. Back there. But love these guys. Give me a thumbs up if you guys like cherry tomatoes, because they are like candy. I'm on call tonight. It's Tuesday night, and I am working on dinner. I think that's the fire whistle.
Mama.
See what's going on.
Ballston Lake fire reported a DV with smoke, a tractor trailer, Route 50 south of Outlet Road. 1640 TAC 4.
Okay. Might be nothing, might be something. Said a tractor trailer with smoke on the side of the road, so. Doesn't, only for the fire, not for the ambulance, at least not yet. So anyways, I was working on putting something together for dinner. Hello, what do you have? Oh, I don't think we need strawberry extract for our pasta, honey. But thank you. So I am going to try something new in the Instant Pot and try to make spaghetti and sausage in the Instant Pot, because I'm a little pressed for time, having that I have to get out of here tonight. Charity's already on call. Right now she had one call. They've actually been pretty busy today, which meant, sorry, I'm trying to cook and talk to you guys at the same time. It's been, she missed a whole bunch of calls just because she missed her window to get down there just by a few minutes, and she's only had one call for the day. But she's happy to be down there and get back into the routine, because she didn't end up riding last week at all because we went to the Piano Guys concert down at SPAC. So that's what she's up to. I'm trying to get this done. Art went to the post office, and the rain is let up, and it's nice and cool out, so it feels really, really good. But I'll try to show you what I'm doing with the Instant Pot as I go along. All right, so I was working on putting the food all in the Instant Pot when it got very, very loud here. Girls were working on a project. So anyways, I'll tell you what I did. I threw the pasta in the Instant Pot along with a can of crushed tomatoes and another can full of water. Threw in some seasonings. It's in the Instant Pot now. It's got 3 minutes left on pressure. And then I will probably do a quick release with it. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of cream cheese and Parmesan cheese, and hopefully it'll come out well. Hopefully. I've never tried doing a full pasta dish inside the Instant Pot, but I've seen a lot of good recipes in the Instant Pot community, so I figured it was about time for me to give it a try. Alright, so I cooked it for 4 minutes, and that looks like it was just about right, and that was the right amount of liquid. So I threw some cream cheese in to make it a little creamier, and we're going to throw in some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to give it a taste, and dinner is served. Well, it looks really good, it tastes really good, and I'm really happy with how it came out. We'll give it the taste test and see what everybody thinks.
Everybody liked the pasta. There was no leftovers, and usually there is. Except for Charity said she didn't like it that much. Janelle brought a little bit down to her at the ambulance, and for some reason she didn't like it, but everybody else loved it. So good night. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you tomorrow.